Hey, Peter.
Hey.
Some people's wheelhouse has a wheelhouse.
Yes.
In this case, we're going to make a list of our lists.
A list of lists.
A list of lists.
We're making lists, and we're going to talk about who's been naughty and nice.
We're checking them once.
We're checking them once.
Just once.
They're very loosely.
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Jazz Explained.
Explained, brought to you by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for a deeper dive on all this. Peter, we're looking at lists today. We're looking at we were just talking yesterday about, what it takes for a jazz album to hit the mainstream.
Right.
And so during that conversation, you got on your little Google machine.
On my Google machine, I Googled it.
And you Googled, I don't know what you were Googling.
Well,
exactly,
I Googled, and we might even not be coordinated. First of all, warning. You know, they have the warning that there can be light strobes.
Yeah.
Warning, this could be a little bit of a sloppy mess of an episode, or it could end up being one of our most brilliant episodes.
I think it's going to be amazing.
I don't think it's going to land anywhere in the middle, just to warn you.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today is look at, there's a lot of clutter online. There's a lot of lists of the greatest jazz albums of all time.
Yeah, we're going to rate them, right?
Yeah, we are.
We're going to judge them.
Should we start with this one from JazzWise?
We could start with that. Now, full disclosure, we might not have even Googled this. What did you Google?
I Googled greatest jazz albums of all time.
Okay, I Googled biggest jazz records ever.
Biggest, like large Prince.
Well, I think we got to sort of, what was the first thing that you saw when you Googled? What came up? The Jazz Fuel?
Yeah, Jazz Fuel.
Okay, so Jazz Fuel seems to, never heard of this site.
I haven't either.
I cannot.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard of most of these sites.
That's right.
JazzWise, I don't know. I think it's a magazine.
We're going to get to, at the end, a couple that I have heard of that I think are kind of actually useful. But the idea is that with these greatest, biggest, most important, whatever, desert island kind of records, I mean, it's a little bit,
I think
they can be great discovery tools for somebody just coming to this. But I also think that, like, some of these are 75, 50, 100. I mean, you got to have something in there, which some of these do, that, even folks like us haven't heard of, and our dear listeners, something that can kind of inform and maybe add to your jazz listening pleasure, I think. But we're going to start with the Jazz Fuel one, right?
Let's start there. Yeah,
okay.
We'll start with Jazz Fuel.
So this is the 50 best jazz albums of all time. Essential listening guide.
Okay.
So you're kind of you're not. I mean, you're raising the bar. Matt Fripp. This is by Matt Fripp, who I'm not familiar with. Yeah. But I feel like essential listening guide. Is it going to? So my question is this going to be super conservative? Like nothing we can argue with, or are there going to be some omissions that we're going to berate Mr. Fripp with?
Some predictions.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
KOB.
Of course.
Right.
It's just a matter of where it's going to land.
I'm going to say it's number one on this particular
This
list.
thing is so long, I haven't even gotten down there. So
in fact, if we find a list where KOB isn't number one.
Yeah, I've already found a couple.
Oh, really? Okay, because it's usually KOB and Love Supreme. So what's Matt's list?
It's number one.
Is it number one? Okay,
yeah,
great.
it's hard to get down there. So the Jazz Fuel is listed in anti-hierarchical order. I don't know what that means. 50 to 1. It starts with 50.
They all are.
Yeah. But this is a kind of funny thing. So number 50 is, we're not going to go through every one of these, but 50 is Ella Fitzgerald. Ella sings the Duke Ellington Songbook. Now, that is an amazing record.
It's a really
one of the greatest records. Yeah. I mean, one of Ella's, I can name 20 records that are all, that doesn't stand above it, but I mean, her quality level obviously was so great. This is a great one, and it's with Duke Ellington and the orchestra. So I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to say the 50 greatest and then rank them where number one is what we know it's going to be, are there really 49 better records than this? Or is 1 through 50, they're all equally essential?
I think we're not shy about making our own list, Peter. And you know how hard it is to make a list?
Yeah.
It's really hard to make a list. And I'm sure you're thinking too, as they're making this list, what's the most success? People are going to go down to number one.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah. It's just, it's a little bit, I almost feel like there shouldn't be, it should just be these are the 50, subjective lists of 50 or 10 or whatever.
Then why is KOB always number one? Why?
I know, but it's just such a, and then, Jaco Pastorius, Jaco, of course, that's an amazing record. Charlie Christian, Lewis, but this one's just a lot of the usual suspects. So I would say this list, and this is probably why it's at the top of, Dizzy Gillespie, McCoy, real McCoy. But then it goes to Kurt Rosenwinkel. Interesting. So Kurt is a little better than McCoy. At 44 is McCoy Tyner, real McCoy. Kurt Rosenwinkel, next step, great record. Yeah. Mark Turner's on that, is killing. And then 42, Herbie Hancock, Maiden Voyage. So Herbie's a little better.
Wow.
Than Kurt Rosenwinkel, who's a little better than. I'm sorry. Am I projecting here?
You might be projecting a little bit, yeah. But this is the
problem. Up some controversy.
But so if it were only classic '60s records and you didn't try to put in anything from the modern era, then you could get accused of. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm making a list. I think I like your idea of non-numbered list. However, we have to remember too, we're looking at sites that want traffic.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why 50 is at the top of the page and number 1 is at the bottom. You have to scroll all the way down there.
Look at all those ads on the way.
So I'm looking at Jazz-wise now, and I think this is
just before we move on, though, I got to say, on Jazz, I'm just reading this because I didn't do any research on this. That's the other thing. Like, if we screwed up or offended anyone, our apologies. Full disclosure, we did no research. We just had this idea at the end of the last episode and just started pulling up sites. But Mr. Jazz Fuel does say, so as a result, here's our updated selection of 50 essential.
Okay.
Which is fine. That's your opinion, essential. But then he or she says, or dare we say it, best jazz albums ever from some of the greatest. So now you put it out there. You say that these are the 50 best, which I feel like is, whatever. But I got to say, Piano Starts Here by Art Tatum.
I see what's going on.
I got no problem with
that. Are there any Peter Martin Trio albums in there? In the 50 best?
Yeah, we're going to see.
Here's why he's getting salty, folks. This is why.
There you go. Okay, Jazz Fuel's done. John Coltrane, Johnny Hart. Okay, this is a pretty good list. Ahmad Jamal. This is conservative there. Michael Brecker, Tales from the Hudson. Yeah. Hello. Love it. Joe Henderson, Inner Urge. Okay, this is the greatest site ever.
So I'm on Jazzwise, and I'm pretty sure this is very Eurocentric because right after Jimmy Smith at number 32 is Jan Garbarek. Do you know Jan Garbarek?
Yeah,
Jan Garbarek?
Jan Garbarek.
Jan Garbarek.
Yeah, you don't know Jan?
I don't know Jan.
Oh, yeah. Great. Awesome.
Number 33. So this is what I'm saying. This looks like interestingly enough, we're going to get a little bit of the Euro spin here.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an interesting list. Like there's some albums on here. Billie Holiday live at the Jazz Philharmonic. That's Chick Corea Return to Forever. Stan Getz Focus. See, this is what I'm saying. Like there's some albums on here that I don't think are even in our wheelhouse here, Peter.
But that's kind of fun.
It is kind of
like
fun.
Exposing some new things.
I feel like we should start a Spotify list, like of.
Well, we're going to come. I'm going to surprise you. You don't realize we actually have. I mean, it's credited to me, but I'm sure we spoke about this. We have on the Open Studio site a smaller list. Maybe we'll jump to that next. 7 essential jazz piano albums.
That's a good one. Have you ever heard of Peter Brotzman Octet?
I have not.
Yeah,
not familiar.
Number 60.
Okay.
Right after apparently it's more essential than Birth of the Cool.
Okay. Are we enough on that side? Are we ready to jump off?
Yeah,
or you got some more things?
I'm ready to jump off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Bestofjazz.org, which sounds like an important organization. .org makes me think of educational.
This is I found a really good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you go there next. So the 3 greatest jazz albums of all time. I like this. They've boiled it down to just 3.
I just found one for 5. This is what I'm talking about.
And this was written in 2022, so this year. Okay? So, and they're not numbered. It's just the 3 greatest. Now, this could also be the 3 biggest jazz albums of all time. See if you can guess it. Because and these are probably the 3 biggest selling acoustic jazz records. So, and they're not numbered, but 1 is
KOB.
Exactly. 2, Love Supreme. 3. Are you looking at the site?
No, but I'm looking at a very similar
3.
one. 3. Is it Waltz for Debbie? Time Out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just, this is but that's not a discovery type of thing.
I have one here. So on that same vein, this is from jazzobserver.com. What are these sites? A passion for music and travel. Jazz Observer.
Hey, I have a passion for music and travel.
I feel like I have the same.
Yeah.
Jazz has been experiencing a resurgence. While many have loyally followed the genre for decades, a younger audience is also embracing this eclectic, expressive music. Yeah, that's right. Some of us.
I'm not a fan of jazz.
Obviously. Regardless of which group you fall into or if you're somewhere in between, spending time with the best jazz albums of all time is never a mistake.
Was this written in like 1987?
I think so. So, and they don't have this listed at all. So this is just the 5 best jazz albums of all time.
Jazz. I like
the first one they list.
Yeah.
KOB.
Okay.
Second one, Love Supreme.
Okay.
Now it gets a little interesting.
Yeah.
Chick Corea, Return to Forever.
Okay.
I like that.
Big seller too, though.
Big seller for sure.
Yeah.
Then
Great record.
Mingus Aam.
That shows up on a lot of these.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
record.
a big seller. I think the album
We should
cover,
listen to that on the sesh. Kim.
Yeah.
Let's get that going.
That's a
good
great
one. And then number 5, but they're not numbered, but the last one is Something Else. Cannibal Adderley, Something Else. Which
with
is
Miles Davis on
Miles, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I like these. I like much better. I like the list of 3 and 5. That takes a lot of confidence, but I feel like it's all going to be KOB Love Supreme.
Yeah. And it's just, whatever. Okay. So let's
do one more. Let's do one more.
Can we do 2 more?
Two more.
We include ours. Okay. So we're going to jump to the Open Studio one because I forgot we had one. So in full disclosure,
we do.
To be fair, we're going to rate and judge ourselves just as harshly. So this is 7 essential jazz albums. We'll have links to, well, at least this one. I don't know about all of them, but this is openstudiojazz.com /7 essential jazz piano albums. And this is by me, so I'm really putting myself out there. Peter Martin gives a highly subjective list of his top 7 jazz piano albums featuring Art Tatum, Herbie Hancock, Oscar Peterson, Keith Jarrett.
Can we just talk about how ridiculous it is we got this far into this episode before you realized you made one of these things?
Because I was like, we should do our own instead of like dumping on everybody
else. Do we make too much content?
But look,
answer in the comments.
Look, but then I've got at the very top of the list, star, disclaimer, highly subjective, many obvious omissions, and in no particular order.
You're doing it right.
And I didn't just add that in. That's sitting right here.
And this is 7. A list of 7?
7,
wow.
Of course.
Okay.
7 must listens. And I do have them numbered, but I say they're in no particular order.
Okay. Would that be something you might be interested in?
Yes. And I tried to get I remember when I did this. It was like specifically jazz piano records. Because I'm kind of like, how do you compare Louis Armstrong Hot 5s and Hot 7s box set to...
Some Bix.
Yeah, well,
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm in that genre to like Monk or
to Brad Meldau solo, whatever. I don't know. So this is just jazz piano albums, and this was really about like trying to help people. They're like, I want to learn about jazz piano. I want to learn to play. I want to learn to listen or whatever. So number 1, Art Tatum, Piano Starts Here.
That's number 1.
That's number 1. But I said no particular order.
Love it.
No particular order.
Peter,
yeah,
you already have the best jazz list.
2, Keith Jarrett, Facing You.
This is amazing. This is incredible.
Thelonious Monk, Solo Monk, number 3.
Dude, I'm loving this so much.
4, Herbie Hancock, River, the Joni Letters. Well, this is the thing.
No,
it's not. It's no. But it's not Maiden Voyage. It's not. Like the obvious.
It's a great record.
You know what I mean? It's not Secrets. Ever heard of it?
No.
I know yours would have been Secrets, right?
It just would have been 7 Secrets.
Ahmad Jamal, but not for me. Live at the Pershing. Now that's kind of an obvious one, but it's a great one. Now Bill Evans. I mean, how can you not have him? I mean, you could not have him, but that would be an
Would you have Interplay?
Interplay,
yeah,
exactly. A little bit of an offbeat thing, and then also pulling in, and then Oscar Peterson. I went with exclusively for my friends, Volume 1, which is just some great stuff that I just love. So anyway, I'll throw that out there.
Let's talk. Man, yours is my favorite list, and I'm not just saying that.
I do have one more that might supplant that one. Just to tell you,
the list. You mean?
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this New Yorker list of 100 essential jazz albums.
Oh, that's the one I was going to talk about. So
perfect. Yeah. No, this is actually really great because they have it in. Oh, you okay there? You all right? What are you doing? This New Yorker list is great because they have it in chronological order. So like number 1.
Well, sort of chronological order. Not strict.
Not strict, but I think it is kind of. Number 1 is Fats Waller, Handful of Keys.
Yeah.
1922 to 1943. And then it's like, King Oliver. 3, like you were saying, 3 to 5 is all Louis Armstrong. But
this is funny because you're starting out with, these aren't really albums. These are like box sets, some of them. There's a little bit, I mean, it's very New Yorker of them, very inclusive.
You're going to like this because you're on this one. So I'm going back from the back. So this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Number 100, 2007, the Bill Charlotte Trio live at the Village Vanguard. Number 97, Joshua Redman Quartet, Spirit of the Moment, live at the Village Vanguard, 1995. You're on that one, Peter.
Interesting.
Also from 1995, this is one of my favorite records that I discovered in the last year. Charlie Hayden and Hank Jones, Steal Away.
Yes, you exposed me to that record.
Oh my gosh,
last year.
It's so good.
It's a great record.
This later half here,
I guess it is sort of chronological, not strictly though.
Not strictly, but it is kind of like following definitely an era.
Also, this list, not that it makes it any less, and this is by David Remnick, but it's from 2008. So that's the reason you're not going to, like, the last thing on here is Bill Charlap Trio from 2007.
That's a good record, by the way.
Yeah.
The Live at the Village Vanguard.
I mean, I got a little bit of a, let me see if there's another. So, okay, there's only one Wynton Marsalis record, which is fine. No problem with that. But it's Live at the Village Vanguard from 1999. That is not, I don't think that's the greatest by far Wynton Marsalis record. It's really good, though. But that's a little bit funny, but I like that, you know. But they're saying essential jazz record, so it's like if you're gonna have one Wynton Marsalis record that's essential to your jazz collection, I'm not sure about that. Cassandra, Traveling Miles, fantastic. There's a couple other I could say, but that's great. Keith Jarrett, Colin Concert. I mean, of course, I'm partial to Facing You, but you can't go wrong there. Again, the Chick Corea Return to Forever, which we're seeing on some of the more all-star lists, but also these more thoughtful, nuanced lists, I would say.
I like this one.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure I would. I think I like it.
We're going to link to this one and to ours. How about that? Does that work for you, Caleb and Adam?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's us, and we're paralleled with The New Yorker.
Exactly.
That's basically what you're saying.
Well, the New Yorker one is much better written. I'm sure the font is better and everything. But it's a different. This is 100.
Yourself short, Peter.
No. It's 100 essential albums, and ours is 7 essential jazz piano albums.
Yeah.
So
your list is awesome, by the way. If you're getting into jazz piano, it's highly. But I mean, look, he's got 2 Eric Dolphys with one of your favorite, you know, out to lunch and out there, yeah. You know, and then I love this, the Coltrane. He's got 4. I mean, this is a thoughtful list. Ascension. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that record. Love Supreme. Okay. Complete Village Vanguard recordings. That's not an actual. I mean, that's he's
like
got
a put
Andrew
together
Hill Smokestack. That's an interesting choice. Yeah. Very good.
And let me see. He better have Betty Carter. Oh yeah, he's got Betty Carter.
Yeah.
Betty Carter's Finest Hour. Yeah. That's a compilation. So my only problem with this list is that it's not
enough Peter Martin.
No, I can't believe I'm on this list. I shouldn't have been on I do not need to be on an essential list. Big thanks that I am. But I mean, no, that is 100 essential jazz albums, and compilations and box sets are great, but I wouldn't consider them jazz albums. Like when such a great part of this genre is I Love Supreme. I mean, there's many, you know, Ella Fitzgerald and with the Duke Ellington Orchestra, these iconic records, Billie Holiday, Lady in Satin, Wynton Marsalis, Black Coats from the Underground, Kenny Garrett's Songbook.
Oh, I thought you were going to say there's the lack of trombone.
There should be some I wonder if J.J. Johnson.
I think there's some J.J. on here.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And then there's some folks that, you know, Thelonious Monk, 3 recordings. I mean, no, this is great. Birth of the Cool Miles, Bags Groove, great. KLB. Okay, so highlights from the Plug Nickel. Again, not really a record, but I don't have a problem with that because that's a great exploratory area. Bitches Brew, kind of an obvious choice from then. I'm excited, man. I like this.
All right. Well, check it out. You can check out a link to those lists here in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video. Don't forget to go and subscribe here if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening on the podcast. And leave us a speak pipe. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review on your podcast app.
That's right.
Anything else, Pete?
That's it. Until next time.
You'll hear it. Thanks, YouTube.
Thanks.
Hey.
Peace.
Peace.